But let me tell you, many renowned scientists on Earth have said that it actually exists and will cross by the Earth. The positions of the two planets at the crossings will be so close that the Earth's seismic and magnetic activities will be disrupted, leading to global-scale apocalypses, which will wipe out the majorities of humanity, as well as life on Earth. Welcome back to X Science. This is JT, and for those who are still in denial of Planet X, many scientists, including astronomers, physicists, and the like, have spoken out directly or hint at the existence of a rogue planet, or a system of planets that is on a trajectory heading straight toward the Earth. Now, for those who are not aware of the topic, we are talking about another planet in our solar system, or our binary solar system, with a star named Nemesis. This planet is called Planet X, Nibiru, Wormwood, or many different names across times and countries. But the one thing in common is that it periodically travels through our solar system, during which time it will cross with the Earth, and this will be the judgment day for you and me, but probably not for the elites. Of course, big governments and agencies are very well aware of this. In 1983, NASA made headlines on the Washington Post and the New York Times when it announced that the IRAS infrared satellites have discovered Planet X lurking somewhere beyond Pluto. The strange thing is, 1 week later, NASA retracted all the announcement, and President Reagan made this part of the US national security mandate, and forbid any institutions or agency to address this in public. The stranger thing is, since then, it is rumored that the US have been building secret underground shelters. Of course, they would not let the public know of the incoming catalyst, because how can you control a crowd when the crowds know that they are coming to an inevitable doom? They of course keep us in the dark about the positions of the shelters and keep it to themselves. It is even leaked that there is an underground rail system linking their capital to an underground shelter under Denver Airport. You can do research about this yourself if you don't believe, but I have to warn you, there will be a lot of versions and distortion because, of course, they are supposed to be classified information. Russia and China are also rumored to have been building shelters and cities in preparation for a war-ending event. Now you might be thinking, if a whole planet is heading towards Earth, how is it possible that nothing strange is happening? Well, that's because the authorities are hiding everything from us. One thing we can all notice is the extreme climate events and ice cap melting that have been attributed to global warming. The second thing is the unusual and dramatic increase in earthquakes and seismic activities all around the world. We are of course told that they do not increase, but it is because the United States Geological Society lowered the magnitude scale by 1 and successfully underreported the number of unusually large earthquakes. Volcanic eruptions have been on the rise as well. You can check out other videos on our channel that we talk about the eruption in Hawaii, which dragged on for over 3 months. Last but not least, this is not very commonly known, but many governments have been spraying substances into the atmosphere. I'm not sure what these substances are, but what I know is that these things create a cover of clouds and mist lookalike. Their purpose, however, is quite clear. They are trying to hide something in the sky from the rest of the world. Now you have probably heard of the two suns phenomenon. And let me tell you, that is what they are trying to hide. The two suns phenomenon is not an optical illusion, but the second sun that we see is in fact the system of planet X. From what we know, the center is either a miniature star or a comet planet, as the famous Chilean astrophysicist Carlo Mundo Ferrada called it. The thing is said to place. For example, in January 19th of 1939, it's forecasted that there would be a disastrous earthquake in Chile on the 24th of January of that same year. And guess what happened? It did happen. A huge earthquake shook Chile for 18 seconds, killing 40,000 people. He successfully calculated many other terrestrial extreme events, but that's not all. He even forecasted correctly that Halley Comet's orbit would alter, and it would spend more time closer to the Sun in 1996. What's more terrifying is that he said Nibiru is real. He called it Hercules, and he said it was coming. He first mentioned it in the 1940s, 4 decades before NASA's first ever announcement. Now you can watch this very interesting footage, which was an interview with him in his last years. So to sum up the main point, Planet X is, according to Ferrada, a comet planet, so-called because it had the mass of a planet but an orbit like a comet. The thing does not meet the celestial law that is known to man, and it will cross by the Earth so close that the naked eyes can see it. Mr. Ferrada also calculated 3 major earthquake points when Hercules arrived, which are the northern area of the Mediterranean, the southern area of the Pacific, and Java, Sumatra. You might be wondering, why would a crossing comet planet cause terrestrial seismic disaster? Well, it's simple astronomy. The system of planet X has gravity. That's basic physics. And its gravity is more powerful than that of the Earth. As it approaches, and it is approaching, this causes the Earth's lighter outer core to stall and alter its flow, thus disrupting the normal patterns of the Earth's magnetic activities. This, together with the direct effects from gravity, increase the Earth's wobble, which is, for your information, the tilt in the Earth's rotating axis. What does this do, you say? Anomalies and stress in the tectonic plates, resulting in massive earthquakes which will soon become the new norm. And what follow earthquakes? Tsunamis, volcanic eruption, and mass extinction. Yes, in case you don't know, a major volcanic eruption can throw into the atmosphere more pollutants than humans have ever done. A volcanic eruption caused 1 out of the 6 mass extinction events, and another one brought the human population down to 26,000. Volcanoes are no joke, folk, and that's not the end. As the system of Nibiru arrives, its debris and asteroids will also enter the Earth's gravitational fields, and the Earth, already devastated by the earthquakes and volcanoes, will have to suffer a comet rain. A reminder for you, asteroid impact killed off all the known avian dinosaurs. So it is legit to fear this happening, because it will trigger a series of mass extinction causing events that spells out doom. Another warning, quite a subtle one, that we received recently is from an English physicist named Brian Cox. Mr. Cox teaches physics and astronomy at the University of Manchester. A bit of background information. Mr. Cox is publicly known as a denier of Planet X. He has publicly ridiculed the theory. Yet we need to be mindful here because the official scientists and institution depends on the governments for their livelihood. Not to mention addressing Nibiru directly is forbidden because of national security. Therefore, it is very likely that all the deniers that we see are forced on them by the power that be. Why am I saying this in the case of Cox? Well, he was featured in the BBC documentary in which he explained how the asteroid brought water to the Earth and caused the non-avian dinosaur to go extinct. Then, at the end of the definitely not lens flare, nor they can be photoshopped, because why would you spend that much time and effort making a video of two suns when you are a public denier of the phenomenon? And that is strange because BBC and Cox himself let the scene pass by the editing and be published. We all know the second sun is the approaching Nibiru, and so this act must be a subtle hint to warn the public that Planet X is actually real. It is not an internet hoax as the scientists are forced to accuse it of being one. Also, if Nibiru wasn't real, why would NASA keep sending out its top scientists to, say, debunk the issue? I mean, why debunk something unreal? If it's not real, just deny it at once and stay silent and it is seen for good. Yet, its top scientists keep publicly trying to debunk and deny Planet X's existence and arrival. I'm talking here about Dr. David Morrison. He is a senior scientist for NASA, and he recently told the Washington Post that he was sick and tired of having to explain to the world that there is no Planet X, that there had never been a Planet X, and presumably never will be. He supported his claim with the failed 2012 end of the world prophecy. The thing is, doomsday prophecies can never be exact, and a few Earth years is no error at all on the cosmic timeline. Anyway, you can watch him talk about this yourself in the following clip. Yet, all of his denial and ridicule, and even reported anger, gave him in. Like I said before, if it's not real, why waste time going around denying it? And if you truly believe it's not real, Dr. Harrison, why would you seem so tired of your own work? If I wasn't in this field and didn't know better, I would probably not notice this. But really guys, he is forced to make all this direction by NASA and the government. So in short, I just want to say that whether scientists publicly believe or not believe in Planet X, they all, one way or another, reveal that they do, and it will be the end of us. So guys, keep looking around you and look to the sky, and keep each other updated with anything you have. We on our side also try our best to keep ourselves and you guys updated. So subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for new videos very soon. In the meantime, stay safe guys and keep looking to the sky. I'm JT at X Science, signing out. American astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson once said, Planet X is a marvelous work of fiction by people who flunked physics in high school. And many people following our news and updates have told us that they have difficulties convincing people around them, friends, family, neighbors, that something is in the sky on a trajectory straight towards planet Earth. Hello YouTube, this is JT at X Science, and today we are going to talk about why it is unreasonable to deny the existence of Planet X, or also known as the Nibiru catalysm. The biggest counter-arguments we have against Planet X basically revolve around the opinion that the claim of a planetary collisions
seem outlandish and unrealistic. Additionally, because the date of the collisions had been postponed more than once, first stated to be 2003, then 2012, then again pushed further into the future, many people, even the famous UFO hunter secure team, said that this is only old material being recycled all over and over again. As a result, the apocalyptic prophecy is put to the sideway only to be brought back up again and then moved aside again. When I personally think that people lacking the real knowledge is to be blamed. First of all, for such a major cosmic event, we are talking about a freaking planetary collisions. An error of several years seemed to be quite normal. Additionally, the 2003 date was later claimed by its announcer, Nancy Leader, to be false, and the real date was supposed to be kept secret. And the 2012 date was only a fusion with the ends of Mayan calendar by some internet troll. They are, since the beginning, unreliable, and thus it is understandable that they keep being pushed further and further away from present day. Anyway, back to our story. Since some of you, like I said in the beginning, are having a hard time trying to give a head up to people around you, and even some scientists are making fun of us, I'm going to talk today about 9 reasons why it is not sensible to dismiss the inbound Planet X. Before going into our list, I'm sure that most of you watching this video is far too familiar with what it is and what its indications are. However, there are always newbies coming and research point out the planets don't actually exist and it periodically comes in close contact, like almost a collision with Earth, wreaking havoc upon the planets. The list of reasons why the planet exists that I will talk about today will be a resourceful one that you can use to convince everyone around you, no matter how much knowledge they lack or how stubborn they are, that this is more than an age-old story of some internet trolls. The most compelling reason why Planet X exists and we don't know or are not led to know about it is all the cover-ups from NASA, the authorities as well as their agencies. So in 1983, NASA and its scientists made headlines in most prestigious newspapers you can imagine, like the New York Times and the Washington Post, where they announced that their infrared satellites had discovered another big planet lurking on the edge of the solar system, and that the planets, or at least the planetary object, seems to be coming closer. But then, within less than a week, all of the news stories were rejected, and NASA said there was no further evidence confirming the existence of this object. Also, the United States President Ronald Reagan made the announcement of this planet a part of the United States national security mandate. In political terms, it means that it is illegal for astronomers, scientists, government agencies, or any agency actually, as well as learning institutions, to address the discovery publicly. According to some leaked information, it was believed that Mr. Reagan did so because he was convinced that if the public knows about a planetary collisions and a global catalysm coming their way, they would panic. Chaos would break out and the whole socio-economic system would collapse. Not stopping there, he convinced other big powers, such as Russia, to follow suit. The whole existence of Planet X then became a made-up story or, well, a top secret. NASA has not since spoken a word about it. The second convincingly proving the existence of Planet X is a series of ancient records and pre-modern time research that all came to the same conclusion of a large planetary body hiding beyond Neptune that come in close contact with planet Earth periodically, disrupting the Earth's magnetic activity and causes global apocalypses. Probably the most well-known ancient writing about this issue is that from the Sumerian. Now, let me tell you guys, these people know of Pluto long before we did in the 1930s. In one of the tablets, they depicted the solar system as having 10 planets, meaning that there is one another beyond the Pluto that we know. This planet is called Nibiru, or roughly translated, the planet of the crossing. These people are from Babylonia, by the way. If you want to know more about this, we recommend that you read The 12th Planet by Zacharias Sitchin. Even though many label him as a crazy old man, his book was sold millions of copies and been translated in 25 languages. So I think there must be a considerable degree of reliability in this crazy old man writing. Anyway, the Sumerian writings of Nibiru have a lot in common with the one word in the Holy Scripture and the spoken story of the Australian Aborigine, mind you, Babylonia, Australia, and Europe. This civilization could not have had a lot of interaction in the past. In fact, they could not have any interaction at all because they are from very different periods of time. Now flash forward to the 19th century, astronomers have hypothesized that there are two large cosmic bodies lurking far beyond Uranus, causing its erratic orbits. When Neptune was discovered, it was deemed too small to be the only planet affecting the orbit of Uranus, and even Neptune's orbit itself seems to be affected by a large gravitational forces on the edge of the solar system. In other words, there must be something else, and that something else is big enough to distort the orbits of the two gas giants. Also in the 19th century, Percival Lowell, a wealthy American businessman, financed the building of the Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff, Arizona. Sources state that, originally, the mission of the observatory was to look for the mysterious giant planet. So yes, the American, at least a part of us, already knew of the existence of these planets since the 19th century, and they searched the sky for more than 3 decades and they end up discovering Pluto. Of course, Pluto is nowhere near big enough to alter one bit of the orbit of Neptune, let alone both Neptune and Uranus. This next reason I'm about to tell you guys is a phenomenon that is very rarely talked about, which is the increase in the Earth's wobble. In case you don't know, wobble refers to the deviation in the Earth's axis of rotation. This is most clearly observed by people living far away from the equator and people who work outside most of the time, such as farmers. It is reported by farmers from many places around the world that since 2005, they have been noticing how the sun and the moon have been rising and setting in abnormal positions. Their observation is definitely valid because not only do they work outside, they have to observe the sky for signs of weather, and their livelihood is based on this, and the experience builds up over time. This claim is corroborated by the Inuits and the Eskimo elders who live near the Arctic Circle. Like I said before, these people live on the edge of the world, and they are most likely to observe clearly any anomalies in the sun and the moon. Now here's some interview with them from a while back.
How you would like to go to and would get a direct Rashida Kadu develop Simagamanga Tanadi the Shimalak Takashikin Taban Tabangan Tabani Togama Tana the Shimalak Takashikin Tabanga Kashu what you would over could allow me for while what to do. Kishiri Teba kaya doktor sebelum mengatakan level teba ubaruni kau tepawa ubur produk sebelum mengalami tepawa pakai produk sebelum mengatakan level isu mengatakan aku teba terkata ada ukau sekali berlagi terkata sekali sila
nunak jawab kijak luk palangan Asyik naligala ciumat kangen lalu nomanga takaunga syukui ni cara kisah ni kawin si penyunga sepenak apa gua nanu bulik mau gak sama anu ni pekat telak si mangkalongat nunak jauh tanah asyik naligala ciumat silu mau gak nau ya mencana tak kasih orang tu sekian.
Sekian tak aku sih kita ada tu. Cukai mak nuna kecil lepas rumah sekian pau nak pada dengan akhirnya anak seorang lagu. Aku sih bad kerja. Mereka orang yang ini mana minat sekolah orang kan dia kan tamak ko aji yun na tangin simalagat lati sida kanoy jawa ida no na kanoy jawa
This abnormal wobble causes unusual changes in the jet stream around the world, leading to extreme weather that has been associated with global warming. The changes in Earth's ices also causes an increase in tectonic stress and thus volcanic eruption. Now speaking of volcanic eruption and seismic activities, there have been abnormal increase of them and the public is of course unaware of this. The increase is not a normal natural cycle, and those in power have many different methods to prevent the public from connecting the dots and seeing the connection and the bigger pictures. The point here is that you shouldn't believe the medias and the official paper when it comes to issue like this, because the medias and the paper are not only dependent on governments for their sponsorship, but are also forbidden from addressing the issue. Remember Reagan and the mandate? You get what I mean. So whenever you read about the matter like this, you should also select your own facts and figures and use common sense and logical thinking to realize what should be believed and what belongs to political agenda. Anyway, back to our seismic events. The powers that are frantically attempting to limit the public from knowing about anything abnormal in the Earth's activities. One of the methods is deliberately misinterpreting the number of large earthquakes and eruptions on a global scale. How do they do this yet? In 2003, the United States Geological Society, USGS for short, lowered the earthquake system rating by 1 point, so a magnitude 7 earthquake is reduced to a magnitude 6.1. This effectively allows them to tell the public that there is no rise on the number of unusually less seismic activity. Also, I can't forget to mention volcanic eruptions. If you have been following us, you would be updated on the Kilauea volcanic eruption in Hawaii, which have been going on for almost 3 months now, and there has not been a single sign of calming down. Here's another incredible figure. It is estimated that a striking number of 3 million fissures and magma flows are littering the ocean worldwide. A major volcanic eruption can pour more than poisonous gases into the atmosphere than all the man-made pollution. In fact, volcanic eruption causes one of the 6 mass extinctions of life on Earth. Mind you, the current increase in volcanic activity is because of the Earth's wobble, and such an unusual increase in the wobble can only be caused by a large gravitational forces. As far as we know, no nearby planet is approaching us, and so the option is narrowed down to the one and only Nibiru. Next on the list, all the censorship. The funny things about censorship is that fake photos are all over the place, and that makes sense because if the photos are fake, why bother taking them off the internet? However, if something is real, such as Planet X, censorship would mean there is no proof for existence, at least no proof available to the public. That's why the censorship and all the mandatory cover-up is concrete evidence for Planet X. In fact, our fellow Skyward Media has many times experienced important websites and articles being taken down because of unexplainable reasons. Another very compelling reason supporting Planet X coming is the secret preparation that the big governments have been doing. Russia is very open about this. They recently completed building and uplifting 5,000 shelters in Moscow. Each of this facility can accommodate up to 100,000 people, and even though they don't explicitly say what these shelters are built for, all of us can speculate a big devastating event coming, and the governments want to protect at least parts of the population from the catastrophe as well as its aftermath. The United States is estimated to have at least 150 underground facilities for whatever reason, and according to a leaked official sources, there is a whole city under Denver Airport. Guys, that is whole city, a whole entire underground city. As far as I know, the United States is not yet overpopulated to the point where it needs underground city. So there must be something coming, and the cities are to protect the privileges from the capitalism. Also, these facilities are reported to have been started since the 1980s, coincidentally when NASA first announced a planetary object existing beyond the known planets. China has also been constructing ghost cities in the vast interior, far away from the coast. So they must also be anticipating the destruction on a very large scale. The ghost cities are there, but the reason is hidden, so that must be for crowd control, and also for ensuring the interest and safety of certain privileged groups. The next sources of convincing information we have on Planet X comes from doomsday prophecy and channeling. One of the reasons I said above is that many unrelated cultures tell tales of the end time scenarios and crossing planets. What I want to say here is more than just cultural myth, but channeling from a higher power. Many people accept the scripture, the word of God, X, as information from above. If you accept this channeling, it would be conflicting of you to dismiss other, newer channeling simply because of late arrival. These later channelings I'm talking about here don't directly mention colliding planets, but polar shifts and catastrophic water-related events. They all conclude with the ends of life on Earth and the survival of only a few, after which life again flourishes. The eighth reason I'm mentioning today is the increase in UFO sightings. It is very likely that the extraterrestrial life are not here for fun or curiosity of taking over, but to warn us of an imminent threat. The Sumerian writings state that there are sentient beings on Nibiru, and they used to come in contact with early humans when the two planets crosses. And Nancy Leader, the woman who first mentioned the collision in 1995, claimed that she knew this because of alien implant. I guess we should keep looking to the sky and catch any hints we have. There is not much else you can do anyway. Our ninth and final reason once again is related to censorship. There has been overwhelming supposedly scientific evidence that magnetic polar shift has happened in the past. There are lots of evidence, and this has been confirmed by many times over and over again. It is just not widely recognized from the public's perspective, even though dozens of researchers have proven so. Also in this paper, there are no rogue planets mentioned. It is understandable because it's not possible to know exactly what caused these polar shifts in the past. But these findings are also not widespread because of governmental mandates. If these people were to make the research viral, they will go into a lot of problems regarding the livelihood and legality. So to sum up the whole video, if Planet X really is a hoax by trolls and the uneducated, I guess it must be the greatest one of all time, given the effort and evidence made to back it up. You see here there are facts that we cannot deny. The wobble, the apocalyptic changes in natural phenomenon worldwide, and all the unexplainable censorship and secret preparations. Not to mention the consistency in research and tales from different times and places. I hope this list was useful for you guys. I bet that even the most stubborn denier will have to at least